Hey, it's Bill DeWeese, pro voiceover talent and voiceover career coach. I'm often asked about accents, and for the purpose of this conversation, I'm going to speak specifically of North American talent here in the U.S., very specifically, but it could apply to really any place in the world. I'm often asked by U.S. talent if their accent will hurt them. For instance, if they're from New York, will that very distinctive New York accent make it difficult for them to get work elsewhere in the country, or if they have a Southern accent? And again, when you get into accents, we may say Southern accent or East Coast accent, but within those accents, there's a whole, you can do a deep dive, and there's a multitude of various versions of those accents, depending on what state you were born in or what part of the state that you grew up in. But here's my answer to that. First of all, embrace the accent that you have, because there is a market for it somewhere, someplace. Just this past weekend, I was watching television and I saw a national TV ad for a product that was not region specific. So, for instance, it wasn't selling Tennessee whiskey or something that was or a product that you would relate to an accent. It was a very general product that I was surprised to hear a voiceover talent with a Southern accent. And it sounded like the gentleman who voiced it sounded very, very conversational. It could have been your neighbor. It was that kind of voice. It wasn't like a character actor playing a part. It was just a regular guy with a Southern accent. And more you hear diversity of voices within voiceover, not just commercials, but in corporate and really in all facets of voiceover. So there is a market for your voice. That being said, I believe it's a good strategy to be able to neutralize your accent, your natural accent from the area that you grew up in, as much as you can. I grew up in the Midwest, specifically in Ohio, and there are some very distinctive ways that we say things that are very different from other parts of the country in the area that I grew up in, and I catch myself saying those on occasion. And if I'm working outside of that region, it can be helpful for me to do the broad type of work I do. I need to be able to neutralize that as much as possible. And so I think it's good to be able to do both. Embrace the accent that you have. There is a market for it, but also work towards neutralizing that. And so perhaps doing an audition, maybe you give one with your natural accent and one where it's a more neutral, what we call standard American dialect or standard American accent. And you can work with a dialect coach, an accent coach to help you with that. Or what I did was really just through self-awareness, I was able to neutralize that a lot on my own. There are YouTube videos. When it comes to accents, it revolves around vowels, A-E-I-O-U, the short sound and the long sound. And that's really where we get our accents, from the vowels. And if you can understand how the accent that you speak is very specific and how it relates to other accents, and more importantly, the more neutral American accent, if you begin to practice and say those consonants, again, the short version and the long version, where on command you can neutralize your accent, at least to a great degree, you just simply broaden your market. And my philosophy is, the broader the market that I appeal to, the more clients I'm going to have and the more money I'm going to make in voiceover. So again, don't reject your accent, embrace it. There's a market for it, but at the same time, work towards a neutral version of that as well that you can conjure up on command, so that when you're auditioning or doing a job, that you have, again, just more tools in your toolbox as a voice actor, as a voiceover talent, again, opening up the opportunities that you have. Hope you found this video helpful. If so, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.